and welcome to yet another episode of the CFL Fans in the USA podcast. Rick Crabb here, and being joined as always, the moderator of the CFL Fans in the USA Facebook group, Mr. Phil Hall.
What's up, everyone? How y'all doing today?
All right, well, Phil, we got our first week of regulation in the CFL out of the way. 3 great games, 3 back-to-back games. How was your weekend of watching football, brother?
Oh, it was great, man. Everything good. I was in Kentucky. Everyone know on that Facebook. I watched pretty much. I got home and watched all the games, and like I say, it's a typical fashion of CFL. Like no lead is safe, and sucks because I'm a Hamilton fan. But hey, I'll take a good game any day of the week. Every game was good. Every game was competition to the end, and I really can't wait for week 2 games too. So yeah, it's gonna be awesome. I can't wait. Everyone played good this week.
Yeah, and we'll definitely get to that. And before we get to the games, we'll review all 3 games. We'll review how our picks fared and make our picks again for next week, week 2. There's a couple news items before we get to that, though. You and I were just talking a little bit off of the air. There's a little bit more talk about expansion. Bill, I think you said that the Quebec faction is starting to get some of their money together. What would you hear about that?
Well, what I heard, this is like 2 days ago, the LCF, they got it's like a project. They try to move forward for a year, and they try to have like a year in Quebec City. And they also talking about they talking about having a $350 million stadium in Quebec City. So right now, as it is, the momentum is revving up for a new team in Quebec City. So that's gonna be good. And apparently, we got pretty soon we're going to have an even teams. We're going to have teams of 10, and I really hope Quebec City will have a team there. So it's a pretty good city. I've been to Quebec. You know, the fans are tough there. I love it. I can't wait if Quebec make it. They will play Montreal. That'll be a hell of a rivalry. It will remind me a lot of Hamilton, Toronto, Saskatchewan, Winnipeg, Calgary, Edmonton, that stuff like that. That's where we need more rivalries, and
especially regional ones like that. Yeah, definitely.
Yeah, and I feel like the CFL is trying to push it. I feel like the Quebec people is pushing it. I feel like the LCF is pushing it. I think it's a matter of time they were actually going to say yes, we're going to do it now. Halifax, I hear nothing about Halifax right now. I feel like Halifax is unfortunately a distant dream. Maybe we talk about that in 3 years or 2 years, but as of right now, CFLs look like they're going all in at Quebec City.
Okay, well, I hope they do that, and that would, as you said in one of the previous episodes, it would make a lot more sense with the new playoff formats, having do the 8 teams in a 10-team format as opposed to a 9-team format.
Yeah, for sure. And then I think this is gonna be a start. Like the best thing to do, they need to rev this up now. So like even a year or 2, have a team in Quebec, and then all right, if Quebec come, that's more money right there. And now we gotta get to if we have more money, maybe Halifax will talk again about a new team, and maybe we have another team in the Pacifics and make it 12 teams or something like that. Like BC need a true rival too, you know?
Right? Yeah, that'd be interesting. But
yeah, and that's what the thing. There's a lot of cities. There's a lot of cities in Canada is CFL friendly, CFL fans. I remember I did my time in Detroit, and I got family in Detroit, and I ain't gonna lie, my family's a bunch of gamblers,
Mm.
and we go across the bridge. We go across the bridge to Windsor, and they put the kids in the hotel and they go down to gambling. So we walk down the streets. Everything I see like CFL stuff. You hardly see a Detroit Lions. You can see Detroit across the river and you across the lake, and you hardly any Detroit stuff. It was all CFL stuff. I was like, hey, why not have it at Windsor? Why not have it at other cities that don't have a team or stuff like that? They might surprise you. Like you might have 50,000 people,
Right.
just to prove that. Yeah. So.
And especially
Yeah.
since Windsor, like you said, is known for gambling. I mean, that's one of the things we talked about, like with the NFL, why they're generating money is because of gambling with Bet365 and FanDuel and all these other gambling sites and all. I mean, maybe the CFL needs to, and it seems like they are doing a little bit of that, but maybe that might set it into gear. Of course, back then when you went, I don't know how long ago that was. The Detroit Lions weren't very didn't have as much relevance as they do now, but it's
No, that was like 1988.
okay, yeah.
Yeah, but that was pre-Barry Sanders,
Oh,
like
yeah.
I remember I go up every Thanksgiving. They just give us free tickets to Thanksgiving games in Detroit. I'm like, and the team is so bad. Me and my dad left like at halftime. So as I like I say, Quebec is a good start. Is a great start for CFL to have an expansion team in Quebec, and maybe I don't know who's going to be the one of the team East going to go to the. No, it'll be the fifth team in the East. So I don't know that still have crossover. Actually, it won't even matter now because they have 18 playoffs.
Right.
But who's but Quebec is a good spot, a good start. It's a big city, and like I say, I've been there. It's nice, and let's see it. And I guarantee you, Quebec will show out.
Yeah.
But especially a new stadium too. Like new stadiums. If you have something new, people will come.
Well, let me get your take on this, Bill. I'm going to probably ask you more about this later after we review the games. I noticed with the Quebec thing, they're talking about building a stadium of like 25,000. Now, it seemed to me like in the past, it looked like the CFL had like bigger stadiums and bigger attendance, that kind of thing. I mean, I'm starting to see. I mean, a lot of people compare the CFL to like the smaller, alternative leagues like the UFL and the European leagues and stuff like that. I'm wondering if that's what they were looking at as far as attendance wise. They're not trying to be like, okay, we're going to get NFL size crowds, but maybe we can get closer to UFL size crowds. I don't know. What's your take on that?
So I think their sweet spot is 20,000 people, and I think they're doing an approach like soccer, like MLS. They're gonna make like smaller size stadiums, but make it luxury. Like think about it, like Winnipeg and Saskatchewan and Hamilton got a world class new stadiums, but it's only hold like 25 to 30,000 people. So, like I say, like less is better. Like honestly, like you build a 25,000 seat stadium, it's better to see a full crowd than a half a crowd. You know what I mean? Like that's all it is. Like soccer, like that's why soccer is pretty big in the MLS because they built these soccer sized stadiums but lesser crowd and is more intimate to the fans. So
right, and as you mentioned, they have. Like, I know with Audi Field, they have, like, nice club level, and they have, like, different unique perks and all. It's like, well, when I was looking for tickets for Hamilton, their stadium, they have one of their end zone sections. It looks like they have one end zone section that's kind of like general admission, with picnic tables. You can sit and drink your beer or whatever. But then they have another one, I think it's called the Porter. And I think I read on their website they're opening it this year. It's basically, it's kind of like what they have at SoFi, where they have like, you're behind the end zone, but it's like a ground level, club level. It's like a big bar. Your food's included, your non-alcoholic beverages included. It's, it's a little pricier than, I'll admit, the tickets that Kim and I are getting, which are around $30 a pop. But theirs are, it's like $100 or so, but you have all your food, your everything included, and, you're in nice digs. So I guess a lot of stadiums are going for that too. So
they started doing all that package ever since like the NFL started having new stadiums. Like I go to the draft almost every year, and our goal is to visit. Besides Ackie Shore Stadium, because I'm from Pittsburgh, we go and visit other people's stadiums during like the Saturdays, and every Saturday, every stadium I visit, they always have that kind of package. Now NFL prices and CFL prices is like night and day, but now they doing this whole you're near the closer to the stadium, now you got that package. They want the full-on package now. So maybe some of those teams in the CFL need to start doing that. And I know Winnipeg is doing that. I know Saskatchewan's doing that. I know Hamilton doing that. I even know that BC's doing that. And maybe Toronto needs to start doing that. But Toronto got no room. But
well, I think Toronto, they just have like standard like club level kind. It didn't seem like they had a whole lot. But like you said, their place is small. I mean, but where they're at, I don't know if you've been there before or not, Bill. But basically, their stadium's in the middle of like a fairgrounds. It's where they have the big Canadian National Expo, and like they only have like, not counting what they have, these temporary seats they're building for the World Cup. I'd be afraid to get in those darn things, by the way.
Yeah, I'm scared of that.
Right. But one of the end zones, when I went, it was only one section of end zone seats. The other section is like this hall. I don't know if they use it as a pavilion for the exposition, or it could be like they have like, I don't know, like animal weighing shows, like, the best, I don't know, like, kind of like these 4-H things that they have, like, at state and county fairs kind of thing. That's what it looked like to me. In fact, I think the building even said, like, food. So, I don't know if that's their food pavilion, or they just have, like, use it as a cow palace, or what. Because they even have, like, where, like, the Toronto Police Department, they have, like, stables for their mounted police, like, for their horses, like, near that stadium, too. So, it's...
Oh, that's pretty cool. Yeah, I did not know that.
Yeah, in fact, it was funny. It was like, when we went to the game, when we were walking through, and Kim was like, hold up, they have like this real ornate old building where the horses are at, and they have like these statues of horses carved into the side of the building. It was pretty wild, but...
I do like it at BMOs and the Rogers Centers, but I think there's got to be a better way. I just think people, and this is me as a consumer with seats. I kind of wish shade side was the TV side, so people don't know, like. People acting like there's only no one at the game, but you go on the other side with the camera angle, everybody and their mom's at the shade side.
Right.
Yeah. So that's my only gripe at that stadium. I'm worried about the World Cup. Like those bleacher seats, those extra bleacher seats, look like a disaster waiting to happen.
Kind of reminds me of, like, you probably see, since you and I both follow wrestling, like, they have, like, those stadiums in, like, Abu Dhabi and Saudi Arabia that they put up like within a month. It kind of reminds me of that. It's like, I don't know. That's be a little nervous.
I was like, yeah, I'm like, hey, like I personally think if it's the World Cup, I think they should have it at the Rogers Centers instead of BMO because it's going to sell out.
Oh yeah.
If you have, it's going to, no matter what, it's going to sell out.
Definitely.
So,
although I think the reason they have it, they're not having it at Rogers Center, they spend a lot of money to. They basically redid Rogers Center, so they made it more. They configured the seats, and they made it more of a baseball stadium because it kind of looks like what they did with Tropicana, except it's a lot nicer. They have a lot of like nice party areas. They have like these balconies where they have like bars you can hang out and watch, and they still have like the hotel rooms, but they only have them on the very top. But but the field looks a lot different. I mean, their turf looks real nice. It's still turf, but I mean, it looked like grass, and I had a lot of fun when I was, at that Blue Jays game. But
yeah, isn't it crazy? Like, I was there in '98, and I know it's like almost 30 years or something like that. But isn't it crazy? Like 30 years ago, it was at the Rogers Dome, aka the Sky Dome. It was almost packed to the crowd for CFL games, and now I don't know what the deal is up there with Toronto. Like, is it lack of coverage or something like that? You know what I mean?
Well, it's a few things. It's like their fans. I mean, they have their hardcore following of fans, but it's like the game we went to BMO probably holds about 20. I think there's probably about 14 or 15 when we went. They're fans that are true Argos fans. They don't like BMO. They think it's just a rickety, basically like a big high school stadium. But Toronto, I think they're unique to the rest of the league where they are like, we're a big city. We're as big as New York and LA, and they have teams in all the major North American sports leagues. I mean, they have, Blue Jays. They have the Raptors and NBA. They got NHL and AHL hockey. They have women's hockey, PWHL. They have MLS, Toronto FC. And this year, they're actually have an expansion team in the WNBA. So they feel like we're big enough for the big leagues. We should have our own NFL team, Forget the Argos. We want, and from what I've talked to and reading in groups and talking to people up there, younger folks, they're not getting into the CFL. They would rather watch the NFL. So, I don't know. I hope they can improve stuff because I don't want the CFL to just turn into an NFL Canada. It's
yeah, and that's what I'm worried about that. And I feel like if they want to make, you're gonna have. It sucks because Saskatchewan. You can have Saskatchewan and Winnipeg and Hamilton be sell out every game, but all they really worry about is Vancouver and Toronto to be profitable, and I think that's what it is. They're barely making the green up in Toronto and Vancouver, and they're doing that. Toronto's doing everything they can to make, like the Argonauts, trying to do everything they can to make profits. So they do like WWE nights and all that stuff, whatnot. But
well, I think part of the issue Toronto fans have is they're owned by, I think it's called Maple Leaf Sports Entertainment. It's a company that owns too many teams. It's like they feel like they're not putting enough resources towards the Argos because they basically own almost every team except for the Blue Jays. And they also did they have some kind of agreement with the Buffalo Bills, and a lot of people were thinking, man, they're pushing the Bills. We don't want, a lot of them, they want the NFL, but they don't want the Bills. It's like, but,
it's like, yeah, it's like when the Penguins, this is a couple of years ago, they had, whenever like the Burkle company sell their rights to the Penguins to the Fenway Group, the Fenway Group, they brought the Penguins. They did nothing with the Penguins. All they did is just brought the Penguins up to Boston for a Winter Classic, and that's about it. And their main focus is taking care of the Red Sox, the Bruins, and then the Penguins. And like that's why like the last couple of years, Penguins wasn't that good in hockey because they didn't put anything to it and they couldn't care less. And now they got new ownership. Now it's a lot better than it was. So
right.
I don't know, it was ownership and stuff like that. But like you say, the fans of Toronto is weird. They want an NFL team, but they don't want the Bills. They tried having the Bills up there and it didn't work out.
Right.
Trust me, I went to one of the games up there when the Steelers played the Bills in Toronto. It was kind of bleak, you know?
Right. Interesting.
Yeah.
Well, it's like I've seen it locally near me too. With I see it now, and I saw it like back in the day. Back in the day, the Washington Capitals and the team that's now called the Wizards, they were then the Washington Bullets, who were taken from Baltimore. They were both owned by Abe Pollan. And it seemed like in the 70s, this is how long ago it was, the Wizards were actually good. They had actually went to back-to-back NBA Finals against the Seattle Supersonics. But the Capitals were the worst team in the NHL. They actually had in their first season, Phil, they lost so many games, it's like they finally won their final road game. They actually took a trash can and paraded around like it was a Stanley Cup. That's how bad they were. And then eventually, the Capitals were made more competitive, but they couldn't get over the hump. So the Bullets kind of stayed in the playoff hunt, but they weren't really any of the big players like the Bulls or the Detroit Pistons or Lakers or anybody like that. Now, they're currently owned by Ted Leonsis. And the script is flipped. The Capitals, they won a Stanley Cup and they're in a lot of playoffs. They win President Cups and shit like that and stuff like that. But the Wizards are the worst team. They're basically they're kind of like the Washington Generals when they play the Harlem Globetrotters. It's like, people in D.C., they'll buy tickets to see LeBron or whoever their opponents are, but, they won't cheer for... I mean, there's some, I'm sure, that cheer for the Wizards, but those are like some diehards, it's just...
Oh, yeah, it's always diehards of that, and it's like in Pittsburgh, like they want an NBA team here. Like I say, you got your diehard. I'm a diehard basketball fan. I love basketball, but that's like 2%ers of the people in Pittsburgh who like basketball like that, and the other rest of them care less than their NBA team.
Well, and it's probably like it is my hometown, Baltimore. It's probably not enough corporate support. It's part of the reason we don't have NBA or NHL. Now it's because the stupid mayor spends all our taxes to redo that building, and he only wants to have concerts where he can charge $50 in a parking garage and no live sports. But in addition to not having a building, but a lot of people, he said, they only have many. They don't have a lot of corporate support. They can support the Orioles and the Ravens, but will Under Armour support a basketball or a hockey team? Who knows? But
but like I say, I think the key in the CFL probability is a good start for a 10th team, but the bigger probability is make Toronto relevant. Right. I don't know how. I don't know how they're going to do it, but if they can do it,
well,
they do. Good.
Yeah, it's like the NFL has done that in the past too, where it's like they have a lot of good markets, but they're worried about the big markets. They're worried about New York. It's like their league offices are in New York, but both their teams have to play in New Jersey because it's too expensive to build stadiums in New York. And then, and even though Los Angeles, they lost so many teams. They had lost the Rams, they lost the Chargers, they lost the Raiders, and then you wound up getting back the Rams and the Chargers. Although I think LA would have been probably happy just to have the Rams. They could care less about the Chargers, And the people who did care about the Chargers, San Diego, or their hearts were broken because their team was taken. But the whole thing is they're trying to concentrate on New York and LA. New York, where league offices are. LA, second or third biggest market in the United States. Fox is based there, so they want all their media and all their stuff reflective of that. So they kind of do the same thing, like CFL's doing with Toronto and Vancouver. But it's like, I've read it, you probably read it in our group. People are, like out west in Winnipeg and Saskatchewan and all that, they're pissed at the leagues. Like, why are you trying to bend over so much for Toronto? They don't draw. We draw, It's like, get them out of the league. But they're not going to do that as long as TSN is still based there, Rogers is based there, TD, and all, a lot of their big industry. I think Toronto, a lot of their stuff is kind of like either tech or like just like financial, type stuff. So they're going to try to keep them there.
Yeah. And the three untouchable teams in CFL is obviously BC, Toronto, and Montreal. And they want Montreal's profitable. It's just Toronto, BC sometimes is in the red. So is Toronto too. So that's their goal. That's three of their. That's what they want to see. They want to see profitability in those three big teams: the Alouettes, the Argonauts, and the Lions. And everyone else is whatever. I'm like, you look at everyone else like I don't know, when the Grey Cup, when they have it at Winnipeg or Saskatchewan, like their stadium pops on TV. You know what I mean?
Oh yeah.
Like, I don't know how they do it. I don't know if they got counties up in Toronto, but maybe, I don't know if they have enough money for another stadium for Toronto. I don't know, but.
Well, it's interesting you say that. I haven't read anything about it. However, when Kim and I go back, we are going to Toronto to see an AC/DC concert. And where they're playing is, it's a 55,000 seat arena, but according to the website I read, it's like a temporary building. It's like, kind of, I guess, like these, I'm hoping it's not like these rickety World Cup stands we were just talking about, but from what I heard, it's temporary, and I don't know if they're going to build a more permanent concert arena, or maybe that might be a place for the Argos to build. I'm not sure. But.
Yeah. It's like, I heard, and here's another thing I heard this week, and this is maybe just talks right here. I heard Calgary is talking about a new stadium themselves too. They want to have a stadium like where the old Calgary Stampede area, like where like the Stampede thing. They want to do a football stadium and a Stampede stadium all in one. And that's what I heard, and that's the rumors I heard. And
that makes sense. Plus, the Flames are getting a new toy in a couple years too. So yeah, you can see that.
Yeah, like don't get me wrong, I like McMahon Stadium, but I think it's time for either a upgrade or a new stadium in Calgary. And this is, even though it's going to look fantastic in the Grey Cup, but it's time for Calgary.
Sure.
And Calgary got the fan base too, and they love their Stampeders up there. And that's the thing,
Right. Yeah. I mean, when I saw the highlights, and I was listening to that game on Calgary radio, there's some funny stuff with that, but we'll get into that in a little bit. There's one story I want to get to before we get to our games, though, and it affects one of your Tiger Cats.
Oh, yeah.
According to TSN, I'm going to read their little article about it. the article actually comes with a video clip. I'm not going to play that, though. But okay, so the headline, Brandon Banks to be inducted into the Canadian Football Hall of Fame and Museum's class of 2026. Dateline Hamilton. Following a highly decorated career, Brandon Banks will take his rightful place amongst the Canadian Football League's all-time greats as a member of the Canadian Football Hall of Fame and Museum's class of 2026. Banks was surprised with the announcement during the 2026 season opener with the Hamilton Tiger Cats playing host to the Montreal Alouettes on June 4th. The prolific returner and celebrated receiver is the first of 6 inductees to be named to the class of 2026. The remaining inductees will be unveiled in the coming weeks. Tickets to the induction ceremony are on the evening of September 17th are on sale now. Wait a minute. Oh, that figures. I'm going to the game on the 18th. Well, we'll probably miss that. Oh, well.
Oh, man. So
Yeah.
I'm like, oh, man, you going to that? That'd be sweet.
Yeah. I think, let's see, well, I don't know. I'll have to talk to Kim about that, because I think our AC/DC concert's the 16th, so, but, I don't know, we were talking about doing some stuff in Niagara Falls. We'll see what happens there. Okay. Anyway, quote, his numbers and accolades speak for themselves, but it's Brandon's lasting impact on the game that has earned him a place in history. His breathtaking speed defined him, but will always be in awe of his passion, determination, and drive, said Canadian Football Hall of Fame Executive Director Eric Nuevo. All right. Known as Speedy for his fleetness of foot, Banks played in 127 games across 9 seasons, 2013 to 22, mainly with Hamilton and with Toronto in his final season. He holds a CFL record for missed field goal return touchdowns, 5, and ranks third all-time with 13 kick return majors. His standout 2019 campaign earned him Most Outstanding Player honors on the strength of league leads and career highs in receptions, 112, receiving yards, 1,550, and receiving touchdowns, 13. He holds the Ticats' all-time record in punt return yards, kickoff return yards, and kickoff return touchdowns. The former Kansas State Wildcat was named Most Outstanding Special Team Player in 2015, and he was selected to 4 All-CFL teams and 6 All-CFL Division teams. He appeared in 5 Grey Cups, capturing the 109th championship in 2022 with Toronto. Banks in the class of 2026 will be feted on the eve of the annual Hall of Fame game with the Alouettes visiting the hometown Tiger Cats on Friday, September 18th. Tickets are available here. Oh, sweet. So they'll be honoring him at the halftime game I'm going to. Awesome. All right, back to the article. The Canadian Football Hall of Fame and Museum, located on the 4th floor of Hamilton Stadium, operates a non-profit registered charity. Since 1963, it's been home to more than 80,000 Canadian football artifacts, ranging from equipment and trophies to photos and videos spanning the rich history of the game. Now, one thing about the museum, I don't know if you're familiar with this or our other listeners or Facebook members are. The museum is actually at Hamilton Stadium. Unfortunately, it's not open like the Hockey Hall of Fame or Canton or Cooperstown or anything like that. It's only open during games. And the only way you can get in is if you have club level, you can go in throughout through the museum throughout the game, or if you just have tickets anywhere in the stadium, you can go an hour after the game. But the thing is, our game is a Friday night. It's going to be kind of late, and not sure where our parking situation is going to be or anything like that. I'm not sure we'll be able to go to it that time, but maybe in another visit, I hope. But just give you a heads up, Tiger Cats fans or fans that want to go to the museum, you have to go during a game, So maybe go to like a Saturday afternoon, like a 3 o'clock Saturday afternoon game or something like that. Maybe that might work out better for you.
So my question is, so their Cannon Hall of Fame, you have to pay for club seats and wait after the game to go see the CFL history and stuff like that?
If you want to see it during the game, like during intermission or something like that, yes, you need club seats. However, if you don't have club seats, if you have tickets anywhere in the stadium, you can go after the game. They keep the museum open like an hour, hour and a half after the game. So, but either way, you have to have tickets to the game that day in order to go. Which I wish they would open it. I wish it was like Hockey Hall of Fame. I mean, when Kim and I went to, when it was like on a Friday afternoon, it was a blast. But
I kind of wish they had like their own physical body, so people can see the history of the CFL instead of inside a stadium, But,
right.
But
and I think they've had it in the past. I thought I read one time. I think they were in Toronto. They had it at. I mentioned earlier they had that one building in the end zone, and it's kind of like a food hall or whatever. I think they might have had it there temporarily, which I would have rather be that anywhere as long as it's open. During the day you can. I mean, you can spend a day in Hamilton or whatever city it's in, and you can. If you have tickets to the game that night, you can take the kid or the wife and the kids and go to the museum or whatever, and have fun and grab a bite to eat or whatever there is to do in the city that holds it, and But maybe that's another marketing thing the CFL has to do. But
oh yeah, and back like the Brandon Banks, I remember when Brandon Banks is one of the best players I ever seen, and it sucks. Like, I remember 2013. I remember I watched this on ESPN too with a couple of friends. They were the one of their second grade cup. They had a chance to win that game. He ran back a touchdown, but they called back a phantom illegal block, and Hamilton could have won that game. And I remember Calgary was so feared that not to punt Brandon Banks. They had to put it out of bounds. It was getting rouged left and right. And then the one day they was like, all right, let's punt him. A minute to go. And he took it to the house.
Wow.
I'm like, oh. And they called penalty at the end, But I tell you what, who else was that running back from the Calgary, John Cornish? He was just like running them over, and then Bo Levi won that year. I remember that it was against him, but Brandon Banks was sad about that. I was sad about that because Brandon Banks never got a chance to win it for Hamilton, and that was a hell of a team we had. We had Collaris. We had Zach Collaris, it was, and every time Brandon Banks come, it was electric. I remember he used to play for the Washington football team. I remember he ran back a touchdown against the Steelers in preseason. I remember that, and he was like, all right, this guy is going to be a keeper for the Washington football team, but that year they got rid of him, and Hamilton scooped him up in a heartbeat. And first game in Hamilton, he ran back a touchdown.
Yeah.
That's how good this guy was.
Well, as some of my defenders buddies at the UFL games would say, it's probably it's a member of the litany of mistakes from the Washington football team. A lot of them, I would still go to games at Oladieville, and even though they had the football Commanders have new ownership, a lot of them still do Dan Snyder chants brought to you by the letter F. Let's put it that way.
Yeah, and I remember, and me, I'm not really a lot of my Hamilton fans are anti-Argonauts fans, and I understand why. But I remember when y'all beat Winnipeg in 2022, and that was Brian Banks' last game as a CFL player. He came out champion, and I appreciate that. That was a team I actually appreciate a lot. That 2021-22 Toronto team, and hats off to Brandon Banks for making it in the Hall of Fame, man. I'm so excited about that. I'm excited who's going to be next, you know?
Right, yeah.
Now, I'm trying to think. I don't know who's going to be next, or are they going to get, like, any older guys, or are they going to get, like, newer guys that we know, you know?
Should be interesting.
Yeah, but Brandon Banks, he made it. Congratulations. And we have for the Hamilton fans and the Argonauts fans, you know, and Canadian fans, great career. That's what I say. You know?
Well, and coming with that article, they had Kate Verness interviewing him on the field with the other Friday Night Football panel, and it's like she even mentioned, said, to all the fans you played in front of in Hamilton and Toronto, and, you know, she basically said that, you know, to all your fans everywhere, you know, this has got to be a good moment. So she's trying to include all of Ontario, and, you know, and talking to Kate Verness, that's worth a Hall of Fame induction right there. But, you know, it's my opinion. But yeah, he mentioned that though at the beginning, you know, the interview, and he was like, yeah, I was surprised, I was grateful, and, you know, thank you fans, all the good, you know, he said all the right things, you know, but that was a happy moment, I'm sure, for the Tiger Cats. So yeah. Not as quite as happy for the games, and let's get into that right now, shall we? So.
Oh yeah, definitely. So let's go to the first game here, and it was a hell of a game right there. I ain't gonna lie to you. I watched this in my hotel in Kentucky. This game is the Hamilton versus Montreal Alouettes. There was a hell of a start for Hamilton. Like they found a way to throw the ball, and they got throw the ball to Kenny Lawler, even though the pass interference. It was going deep balls, and they was drawing a lot of penalties, and pretty much like that. And it was 7-0 for the gate right there. And oh, excuse me. I'm gonna get my notes up real quick. And then, let's see what we got. Bo Levi, he was good, but fourth quarter, third quarter came. They was winning 24-10, and that interception to Robert Kennedy III made a change of momentum. And Davis Alexander, when fourth quarter come around, David Alexander, he is pretty tough in the fourth quarter. He's Mr. Clutch himself, and it's like and that's what happened. And Hamilton made a lot of mistakes at the second half, and kudos to the Alouettes defense because they double-teamed Lawler. They double-teamed Lawler the whole game. Lawler only had like one catch or two catches for the whole game, and they know and the running game was a little bit missing right there. They missed Greg Bell a lot. So that's what happened. So David Alexander in the fourth quarter found a way to score a touchdown, made it 24-all. Then Bo Levi went down the middle for a field goal, and then Malta Diaz, you know, Mr. Clutch, made a field goal to tie it up. But that 3rd and 10, David Alexander pass was ridiculous. It was against over 3 Hamilton guys, and he found Sneed right in like a needle in a haystack. It was insane.
I was gonna say that was a good pass, but it seemed like he kept hitting Sneed throughout the game, though. I mean, it's like, I don't know, almost. He's a hard guy to cover anyway, but I mean, you would think, I don't know, Hamilton might have had some answers for him, some zone coverage or whatever, but.
Yeah, and I feel like Sneed gonna be their guy. It sucks because I saw Cole Spiker got hurt pretty bad, and I think it was making on Cole Spiker be their wide receiver too. So, but Tyler Sneed was incredible. He catch 9 balls and a touchdown to 163 yards. That's it. And Tyson Philpott made a ridiculous pass like Alexander made a ridiculous pass to Tyson Philpott. It was insane. The one-handed catch.
Mm-hmm.
So then you go to overtime. It was 27 all in overtime, and then poor Wheatfall, he did a little wide receiver spring and fumbled the ball, and Montreal got the ball, and then Hamilton got the ball, field goal, and won the game by 3. It was looking like last year all over again.
Well, yeah, that was the thing. It's like it seemed like that was the difference of the game: the 2 turnovers, and they were 2 inopportune turnovers. Now, Bill, let me ask you this: I've mentioned on this program and in the group that I'm kind of a born-again CFL fan. This is like my second season of watching it, though. When did they change the overtime rules? Reason I asked, I remember going back in the 90s, he had a preseason game here in Baltimore against Winnipeg, and they had an overtime period, and what a lot of fans didn't understand was the rules were different. They did not have a sudden death overtime. They just basically ran a period, and whoever scored the most points won. Because I think in that game, Winnipeg scored first, and a lot of the Baltimore fans thinking, okay, well, the game's over. And then they said, okay, Baltimore's going to get the ball. I'm like, what? So it was like another, 14 minutes after that. So, but I will give TSN credit. They did a great job as far as explaining the rules. A lot of them, they look very similar to what we see here in the States with college, where they start on the 35 and all that, and then it took longer to explain the rules than the actual overtime because of that fumble by Hamilton. But
yeah, and I kind of like it because I remember they used to have a lot of games in it with ties, and I was like, now there's no more ties now. Like after it's kind of like college football. After the second, third possession, you have 2 points conversions all the time until it's over. I like that. I like that rule a lot, and eliminate the ties. And the one thing I hate in life is a tie.
Right.
So.
What's the old saying? It's like kissing your sister. I mean.
Yeah, kissing your sister or cousin or at the same time, but
right.
And that's what it was. And Hamilton, even though it was 2 of the best teams in the East, Hamilton going down to 0-1, that's a big problem because they're gonna go at Winnipeg this Thursday. So we talk about that later that. So
when we're ready to do our picks and all. Yeah, definitely.
Yeah.
Okay. Mm-hmm. Well, the second game of the week took place in Calgary and featured the same Winnipeg Blue Bombers. And I don't know about you, Phil, all 3 games were close. I think this was the game of the week. What's your opinion on that?
I agree on that big time. I just think two teams was just going back and forth, and they pretty much showed their best power, and let's see who's winning. And Winnipeg showed their muscles a little bit more than Calgary. And Winnipeg did it old school way. They fed the ball to Brady Oliveira. He had 113 yards and a touchdown. And Zach Collares do enough job to win the game. He found his new buddy, Tim White. He 5 receptions of 60 yards and a touchdown. He used his buddy Ontario Wilson and Tommy Neal. Even though Nick Dempsey didn't have enough of reception, but the man was blocking. The man was hitting guys the whole night. And the defense, they did enough. Willie Jefferson, he was Willie Jefferson, and all that stuff. And Vernon Adams looked like $1 million too. Diedrich Mills looked $1 million, but he had 16 carries, 112 yards, and a touchdown. And Jalen Philpott looked better than his brother in the game. Like he was throwing heaters,
Mm-hmm.
So how this go? Good.
And I was going to say, as well as Winnipeg had played, Calgary still hung with them, and they rallied towards the end of the game to take the lead with like a minute left. But yeah, it was.
Yeah. The crazy play is, Calgary, it was almost say 99 yards. It was like more like 79 yards. 79 yards. It was the back of their end zone. It was second and 20, and Vernon Adams drew one in the middle to Philpott was insane. You know, and big players was making plays in this game, and Vernon Adams looked like Vernon Adams that last drive. But I would the two things I get worried in sports and CFL is 1 minute ago Zach Clares had the ball, because he'll find a way to get you down the field goal range no matter what. And people say, and a lot of people say this last year, that Zach Clares don't have it anymore. They're wrong. This guy still got it. This guy still have it. And if you have a good offensive line in Winnipeg, you better watch out. Winnipeg might be back there in the Grey Cup again. But once again, Castillo, he's solid. He's one of the best kickers in the CFL, and it was nothing but three at the end. And like you say, it was a game of the week, 30-28.
All right. Although Calgary may have a secret weapon that they might want to utilize in the future. They've had it in previous games. The rabbit on the field. How awesome was that?
Yeah, the rabbit on the field. It always gets Winnipeg and Calgary. That rabbit come out. It must appreciate those two teams, I guess.
Yeah. I don't know. Maybe they should open a tailgate section for the rabbits there. I don't know, but anyway.
Yeah, you can be like the Angels, the rally monkey and all the whatnot.
There you go. Yeah, they can sell some merch on that. Yeah, that's not a bad idea, actually.
Yeah, I just made $1 million to you, Calgary.
There you go.
Yeah, but all there's two good teams going at it, and Calgary going to take a break. They got a bye next week, and Winnipeg got that tough game on Thursday, like I said, against Hamilton. So, yeah, we're going to go on to that. So,
okay, cool.
I can't wait for that game Thursday. So,
that should be a good game. And then finally we get to Edmonton versus Ottawa, another back-and-forth contest. Although, to me, Phil, it seemed like Edmonton had the momentum throughout most of the game on this, especially Fajardo and Mack. But, I mean, it seemed like... And they also forced a lot of turnovers. I think the rain might have had something to do with that. And, it's like... No, go ahead.
Yeah, and like I say, it was pour down rain. It was raining insane up in Ottawa. And like I say, but Edmonton was controlling pretty much all the game until the fourth quarter. And Fajardo, Rankin, I'm going to say it like this. Justin Rankin is the best running back in the CFL. Not only, I hate to say this, I think next year he'll be on the NFL team. And, the numbers is so gaudy, it is insane. He had 13 carries, 102 yards, and a touchdown. That ridiculous touchdown in the fourth quarter was insane.
Yeah, it was like 61 yards, wasn't it?
Yeah. And also, he can catch the ball. He caught 5 receptions for 94 yards. If anyone had that CFL fantasy and you had Justin Rankin, big points to you. Yeah, and Austin Mack looked like the Austin Mack, that one pass in the rain Fajardo did in the second quarter. Austin Mack looked like the Austin Mack he was back in the Alouette days 3 years ago. So this team is dangerous, and I like the coach of the team for Edmonton. I like their defense, and now Ottawa they play a good game. They play a decent game enough in the rain, but Edmonton was just solid, and Jake Mayer was Jake Mailer was solid. He was 203 with a touchdown. But, what the dude, Daniel Ababaye, he was pretty good. He had 87 yards and a touchdown. And, Aiden Eberhardt, he used to play for the BC Lions. He was solid. Geno Lewis, he was shut down, but eventually Geno Lewis is going to be solid,
Right.
And Caleb Pimpleton used to play for, I think he used to play for Calgary. He was shut down too. So this team is good. They have a good defense, but like I say, Edmonton is a better team, and Edmonton, you better watch out. Edmonton might shock the world this year. I told you my bold pick, Edmonton will make the playoffs this year.
Right. They look good in preseason. I do want to comment on the final touchdown from Ottawa, though, because the way they set up this play was actually pretty clever. We talked about in other episodes where with the rule changes as far as moving the goalpost back and that kind of thing, and I think you had mentioned that somebody actually did a play where they actually threw through the goalpost to hit somebody for a touchdown. Meyer didn't do this with Hardy, but what he did, he ran like a slant across the middle, and he basically, when he threw the touchdown to Hardy, it looked like he was throwing it at the goalpost, like the cushions of the goalpost, and then Hardy met him there to catch it. It was kind of like using the goalpost as a pick because it looked like, it blocked one of the Edmonton defenders on that play. And I thought that was a clever call. So
yeah, I like that because a lot of those veteran quarterback, and we can say Jake Mailer is a veteran quarterback for CFL. He played for Calgary, he played for Saskatchewan, all the whatnots, but he knew where to put the ball, like when that goalpost around, and a good veteran quarterback CFL know how to play that goalpost as the 13 offense player, and that's how it is. This sucks going to move it back next year, but it's going to be, we'll see,
Yeah. It's a shame. It's like parts of the game that we missed. All right, well, let's go to our picks from last week. See how we did on those. It looks like we both lost on Montreal and Hamilton, and but then the only game that we disagreed on was the Calgary-Winnipeg game. You picked Winnipeg, I picked Calgary, and Winnipeg pulled it out. And then we both picked the final game. We picked Edmonton over Ottawa, and we both won on that. So, as it stands right now for season 1, you have a lead of 2-1. I'm at 1-2, and I don't know. It's a long season of CFL, Phil, but so far you got the lead.
Yeah. Oh yeah, definitely. And Brandy's all mad because she's 0-3.
Oh my.
So she picked. I remember she picked Hamilton, and she picked Ottawa, and she picked Calgary. I like, ooh. So yeah, she's hearing it right now. So, yeah, we got to do our little video tomorrow. So we do our picks too. But you will see my picks right now. So.
Oh yeah, there you go. Well, probably when this comes out, your video with Brandy will probably come out before the video. But I should have it ready before the Thursday night game coming up. So.
Oh yeah, for sure.
So let's talk. Let's talk about the games we have this week. So.
Well, good games indeed. Yeah, and then we got the first game, Hamilton Tiger Cats 0-1. They're going to play Winnipeg Blue Bombers 1-0, 8:30 on Thursday night. And it's going to be on TSN up in Canada, and it's going to be on CBS Sports in America. So find your friends to watch CBS Sports, and if you can, go on CBS, go CFL. .ca. You can listen in on their local radio station. The key to Hamilton going to win. They have to find a way to contain Oliveira. If they can't team over there, it's going to be like last year. They're going to get crushed by X amount of points. Do not even punt to Fattel. Fattel ran back 2 touchdowns to you last year in that one game, that 35-3 debacle. Bo Levi got to find a way to get the ball to Kenny Lawler. If not, it's going to be the same situation like last week. But unfortunately, Winnipeg is home. It's going to be their first game in Prince's Auto. I got to go against my boys. I got to take Winnipeg for the win. And Winnipeg looked like the Winnipeg old. So,
yeah.
What you got?
Actually, it's funny you say that. Because Winnipeg, as you mentioned, it looked good, and they're definitely top at home. I'm going to actually go for your boys this week. Mainly because, just slightly out of heart, because I picked them to go to the Cup like you did. I think it'll be a bounce-back game. I think key to them, I think they have to take care of the football better. No pick sixes. I mean, he threw the one last week against Montreal. I think one of the preseason games he did that against the Argos, too. So, but Levi, you're a great quarterback, but, you got to take care of the ball a little better, and especially if you go into overtime. But I'm going to go for an upset. I'm going to go for your Tiger Cats.
Listen, I hope I'm wrong. So, I hope all hands can do it, and that's going to be a hell of a game, man. That crowd going to be rocking. I can't wait. So that's going to be a good game right there. And then we got the next game. Now, this is a pure rivalry right here. The Toronto Argonauts versus the Montreal Alouettes at 7 o'clock Eastern Time. That's going to be on TSN and RDS up in Canada. But it's not going to be on CBS Sports Network, so that's good. So we can watch it on CFL Plus in the United States. So check that out. I think this is going to be a hell of a game. I think people think Toronto will be pushed over. I think Toronto going to hold their own. Let's see how Jack Kelly do. But I got Montreal in a close game, and these two teams always play. It's always like a dog fight between Montreal and Toronto. And, like, they hit hard, someone always gets hurt, and someone is like, and they play rough and rugged, and I think Montreal will win because it's at Montreal, but don't be surprised that Toronto will keep it close and keep it close to the end. And I can't wait for that game, and I'll take Montreal.
Well, just as you said with your Tiger Cats, I have to say that with my Argos. Unfortunately, I agree with you. I think it'll be close. I think Montreal is too tough for them, especially if Alexander and Snead light it up like they did last week. I'll go with the Alouettes.
Yeah, and that defense of Montreal is pretty good. The way they stopped Kenny Lawler was the key of that game. People say it's Davis Alexander. I think the Montreal defense saved them for winning that game. They got good corners. You got Beverett, and you got Kennedy the third, and you got Ayuk as the the linebacker. Like, this team was pressuring Bo Levi the whole game, and Montreal always have a good defense. And Toronto, they got their new coach. Shout out my man, Coach Howell. He's the assistant offensive line coach for Argonauts. He's from the local Kiski area high school. Shout out to him. I hope he do good up there, but I think Montreal is going to do their thing. But we got the next game. I think this is going to be the game of the week. The rematch of the West Finals. The BC Lions versus the Saskatchewan Roughriders, 7 o'clock on TSN up in Canada and CBS Sports Network on the States. I recommend y'all to watch this game because this game is going to be fun. It's going to be a war. And BC is going back to seeing the crime. And I think BC, they should have won the game last year, but I think BC will win this game this year because BC got the tools now. They got the defense. They got the vets back. They're full healthy. They got the draft. They went all in on wide receiver. They got 5 good wide receivers on the BC lines. Nathan Ward will go back, and he's going to fight the demons, and it's going to be a very close game. I think it'll be an overtime game. I think BC will win in Saskatchewan.
Interesting. And that's always a tough home field advantage for Saskatchewan, but I'm in agreement with you there. I mean, we both picked BC to go to the Cup, and for all the reasons you just stated, I'm going with BC as well.
Oh, yeah, absolutely. And I think the biggest, I know they had to go back there again, but imagine the bigger the boost that you go to BC, you go to Saskatchewan, and I know Nathan Warwick wants to get there to the Grey Cup, but the first thing he needed to do is fight his own demons. He had to go at Saskatchewan and win. He had to go at Winnipeg this year and win. But like I say, the key is to win the BC. You got to win the West. And if you can't win at Saskatchewan, you can't win the West. Right. And I think this is the start right there. And I know right now he is telling everyone we got to win this game. And I know when a man's locked in, he's locked in. And Nathan Ward will show out. And I think the team with Hatcher and Butler and like those 2 wide receivers they draft, they're solid. They could be wide receiver 1 in any other CFL team. And this team need to win. So shout out to my people in Saskatchewan, the Rough Rider fans, but I think BC going to win.
Yeah, it'll be a very close game, and like you said, not only with the matchup of the teams, but just the setting in Saskatchewan. Their fans are loud and raucous, and it should be a lot of fun to watch.
Oh yeah, and all these 3 games is good, and I can't wait to watch it. This is I like how they started from the gate from this. So every game is a battle. So we can't wait. We can't wait to watch it, and we'll see from there.
Okay. All right, great. Well, we'll check next week to see how our picks look, and you fans can watch this episode and previous episodes and laugh at us when we make mistakes on these picks or whatever. But you know. All right, Bill, one thing I want to talk to you about, I alluded to it earlier. So I have a post from another Facebook group called CFL Chatter. And what they did is list the 3 paid attendances for last week's game. Now, when I read this and some other posts related to this, I had to do a double take because I was thinking it was some of the UFL Facebook groups that I breed, because all they do on those is talk about attendance. It's like, the stadium looks empty, the league's going to fold, or they can't draw more people, they should move these teams, and all this other stuff. CFL kind of looked like that way too there. You know, not as bad as the UFL, of course, but I'm going to read off the 3 paid attendances, and then I want to get your thoughts on this. So the Hamilton game, it looked like you guys had the most, with 18,577. Calgary had 17,743, and then Ottawa 15,038. Ottawa maybe give them a little bit more of a break because of the rainfall, but I don't know. Week 1, what do you think about that? I mean, one comment I had read is a couple of people thought that maybe attendance is down because a lot of people were upset about the rule changes. They thought, oh man, they're going to keep changing this. I'm not going to go to any more games. I don't know. Do you think that is factored into it, or do you think it's something else?
I think it's a minor factor that they're going to change the games, but I was shocked. Now, I know some people went to the Hamilton game. Some say it was packed from their eyes, but like the TV's perspective, it looked like it was some section wasn't that filled, you know. But it just, I just don't understand like the whole. Now I understand. I understand because they was playing a freaking monsoon. It was shocking they had 15,000 people, but Calgary never really sell out lately because how can I say it? It's like there's certain sides that it's like you got the sun, you can't see anything with the sun, and it's like the TV angle, like the TV angle. You showed the other side of the sun. There's hardly anyone there, but the other side is like full. Is a packed house. That's how it usually is, and I just think it's maybe not just TSA. I just wish they could show like they gotta say, okay, we gotta show the stage side because stage side so a packed people. You know what I mean? But it's kind of alarming seeing Tim Horton half empty.
Right.
You know, especially against Montreal.
Yeah, because I saw when I got the Hamilton tickets. I mean, the stadium holds almost 26,000, so it's 8,000 seats. You know.
Yeah.
But I mean, it's probably like okay, math isn't my strong suit, but I mean, you're probably talking about maybe 60% capacity filled, but still, yeah, you want to see more than that, you know.
Yeah, and I think week 2, and you're gonna see the packed stadiums for Winnipeg and Saskatchewan and Montreal too. So those numbers was 15. What does it say? Like 15, 17, and 18, right?
Yep.
It's gonna make 3 times more this week because Winnipeg, Montreal, Saskatchewan is the 3 top teams are always going to have a sellout crowd. Yeah. So
and another factor I just thought of this though, and this was based on a post that I read, I think in our group, about some guys who went to Montreal over the weekend. You know, they were just visiting there and they wanted to watch a CFL game. The Stanley Cup final is still going on, even though there aren't any Canadian cities playing this year. I mean, it's NHL is king up there, so it's kind of like I don't know if it's maybe fans up there they're more. It's like, all right, hockey season hasn't ended yet, and maybe they'll lean more into the CFL, or I don't know, maybe it has something to do with it.
Yeah. Now I think that's something to do with it. I forgot about that. I think Friday. I think Saturday. I think also like Thursday was game 3 or something like that.
Yeah.
I think people will watch hockey more than CFL. Let's face it.
Sure.
Hockey is king up there. So people say, all right, what I'm going to do? I'm going to watch Stanley Cup, or I'm going to watch CFL. 9 out of 10, those people are going to pick CFL. So that might be the case. And you also got to deal with the NBA Finals too, because NBA Finals,
yeah,
that's key too. Like basketball, if you have a basketball, or you go to Toronto love their basketball.
Right.
Now my worry, and this is my worry, World Cup start on Thursday.
Right.
And I remember I went to World Cup I remember the World Cup '98 when I was in Toronto. Everybody and their mom stopped to watch the World Cup.
Sure.
This is not just America thing. This is talking about you go to Toronto, you go to Montreal. There's different types of ethnicity. Go to like a big bar or a big section to watch the World Cup. And I think Canada play on Friday, right?
I believe so. Yes. Yeah, they are pushing hard. I actually saw a clip of, I think the team for Bosnia Herzegovina. Anyway, they were driving up the main highway to Toronto. I think the QEW, and they were like a lot of their fans. They were like cheering from an overpass as this bus drove under them. You know, but I've seen it like a lot of years. Like in DC, I mean, you have like all the embassies there. Like I mean, a lot of bars will have like fans of different teams, even when the United States is not hosting the tournament. But they'll have like I remember seeing like I don't know when Japan was playing Korea, like the Japanese embassy would have like open some park or whatever and show the game or whatever. So yeah, it's a big deal. I mean, it's a big deal everywhere, probably everywhere, and still somewhat of a big deal in the United States, but not to the extent of other countries around the world.
I got a question for you, and I know this is a CFL podcast. I know you're probably going to the championship game on Sunday, the UFL, right?
Correct. Yes. Mm-hmm.
You think the World Cup might affect the situation of the UFL attendance, or you think there's going to be a packed house? Or you think?
Well, I've been seeing some interesting things about that. I think attendance might actually be pretty decent, mainly because they were talks of a lot of times at Audi Field they have an upper deck that they don't open up. They were talking about opening up the 200 level this week. So they said a lot of tickets will be sold. However, there's also reports that people or ticket agencies are also buying big blocks of tickets and reselling them. And what I'm concerned is they may have a paid attendance of 18 or 19, 20,000, and they hold about 20,000. But they'll have a lot of empty seats because you'll have greedy people buying these blocks of tickets for the nosebleeds. And then people are kind of like, I'm not paying much for that. So,
yeah. Like numbers fluctuate. Like you watch WrestleMania. Like they always say, we broke the record of the most people in this arena. But you see a half empty arena, where the other half?
Right? Yeah.
Or I remember I go to Steeler games all the time. They say, 66,000 people at the Steeler game. I know when it's not 66,000 people, and it's more like 45,000. It's just the scalpers paid a bundle of tickets, and they don't sell their profits. And that's, who knows, and I think maybe that might be the case of CFL. I think it's the case of all sports.
Yeah.
But
and fortunately for the NFL, as you know, if your game isn't sold out at home, you don't get to watch your home game. They're blacked out for, you watch like a Kansas City Chiefs or something. But, I mean, I don't think that's ever been a problem in Pittsburgh for as long as I can remember. It hasn't been a problem here in Baltimore as long as I can remember. Yeah. I think the only time I've seen games blacked out is when the Colts were here in the late 70s when they were New York Jets bad back then. So, I mean,
The funny thing about you say that, I remember 1972, there's a weird reason the Dolphins had to play the Steelers. The Dolphins had to play Steelers. It was the AFC Championship game. The Dolphins had to play Steelers at Pittsburgh. My dad was at that game, and he said that game was blackout because it wasn't sold out.
Right.
And that's why you can't find a live video of that game because it wasn't sold out at all, and
and the funny thing is, wasn't that it was like the week after the Immaculate Reception against the Raiders?
Yeah, and according to my dad, that's one of the saddest days in his life because that's the same night that Clemente passed away. So he don't want to bring that game up again because he's like, Roberto Clemente, but, yeah.
Well, I remember as a kid a few years after that, they had what would be the final home playoff game for the Baltimore Colts. It was in '77 against the Oakland Raiders. A lot of people refer to it as the Ghost of the Post game. Now, that game, it sold out, but it was too late to sell out for their TV. So it was like on Christmas Eve, we had to listen to the doggone game on the radio, but they said the stadium was full. And they showed the replay on Christmas Day after everybody already knew that, Oakland won in overtime and all that. And that was kind of weird.
I remember in '86 we watched the Steeler game. It was blacked out, and how we did that, we had like Rabbit Ears West Virginia channel to watch the Steeler game.
Oh wow.
Yeah, and in '86, the Steelers was it was terrible, but I remember that game vividly because we had the Rabbit Ears that game. Right. And I remember we got crushed 26-0 that game. I was like, dude, we I remember my dad and my brother had to like MacGyver this for 2 hours to make this happen, and we saw us getting crushed by New England.
That's crazy.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Well, it's like I used to do something even crazier than that. After the Colts left, pretty much they tried to make the Redskins the local team, so they got like priority no matter how good or bad the Redskins were. Their games always got priority over others. So what I would do, my folks had a place near Ocean City, Maryland. I would go to their bars in the off season, a lot of times on weekends, just to watch football. I would go there. They have like big happy hours and stuff, and there, you had like stations like in Salisbury and stuff like that. They weren't part of they weren't considered part of the Redskins market, so I would go there and I would see. I was an Eagles fan at the time. I would see their games. I would see other AFC and other NFC games that weren't shown on the Baltimore stations, that weren't getting bumped for Washington versus whoever. So
yeah, and it's crazy. Like where I was in Pittsburgh, we have. I don't know if we had Eagle games on our TV. Surprisingly, in central Pennsylvania, there's a lot of Washington fans in central Pennsylvania. They had training camp in Carlisle back in the day.
Yeah, I remember that, yeah.
Yeah, so basically, every year they had the Steelers and Washington team play at Carlisle, and they play at Latrobe, and that was our local rivalry,
Right, because I remember I watched, I think on over there on a Washington station, they had a scrimmage with the Washington team and the Steelers. So it was like, yeah. But that was, yeah. And when I lived briefly in Western Maryland, they had, that was, I don't know, it kind of reminded me of like the neutral zone in Star Trek. Because you had Ravens fans, you had Steelers fans, you had Washington fans, and then you had a few like Eagles fans, but it was mainly those three teams, just because of, I guess, geography where they converge. But it was kind of weird.
And it's crazy because my dad was born in West Virginia, and he was born in Charleston, like outside Charleston. Surprisingly, you were thinking like it was Washington or Ravens fans or Colts fans or whatnot. Surprisingly, there are Cincinnati Bengals fans in Charleston, West Virginia, because they say it's a lot closer to Cincinnati than Pittsburgh and DC and Baltimore.
Interesting.
Yeah, I'm like, I know the old 68-64 take you to Cincinnati, it'd take you like, let's say, 3 hours max to Cincinnati, but you go down to where my dad lived, they show nothing but Cincinnati. There was Reds fans and Bengals fans down there.
No kidding.
Kind of disgusting, but
I gotcha.
All good.
All right. Well, I'll say what is not disgusting is our fans listening to our show. Thank you for doing that in the last couple episodes. Thank you for listening to this episode. And Bill, before we wrap things up, do you have anything else you want to add?
Oh yeah, I'd like to shout out my man Mike Goodshow. Thank you for also giving me another autograph to the keeper. You ever heard of the Grey Cup keeper guy?
I can't say I have.
So there's a guy living in Winnipeg. He's a Grey Cup. He had the trophy. No matter where he goes, the trophy goes with him.
Wow.
So CFL paid for him to be the what I call the security guard of the Grey Cup. Huh. So he gave me an autograph, and he gave me a shout out to me on the Facebook page. I'm like, hey, it's the keeper. So shout out for him, for the keeper, and keep on doing your good stuff. And once again, our page. Make sure you like this. Make sure you like our stuff on the Facebook page. Don't be, if you like football, check out the CFL. If you like any alternative football, the CFL, UFL, arena football, anything like that, just check our page out. We love football. That's our name of the game. And check us out, and we make a page, and me and my wife do a video with the cats. I got the new cat with me right now, but we do videos. You got the highlight videos at the end, so check that out. And like I say, thank you for everything. So thank you for watching. We are near to 8,000 members, so let's keep the ball rolling. Let's get to 10 by the end of this year.
That's awesome, and thanks again, fans, for that. All right, folks, we'll talk to you next week. See ya.
All right.